All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today. I'm Jamie Austin, San Francisco Advocacy for NMWA board member and Director of Exhibitions and Public Programs at CCA. I'm your host today. And today's event is special because it connects our group directly to the National Museum of Women in the Arts, our advocacy's group home institution, via our featured speaker, Elizabeth Ajunwa, who is the director of the Library and Research Center at NMWA, who will be speaking in a few minutes. I would like to say that Lorna Meyer-Callis is not able to join us today, unfortunately, but I do have a few exciting announcements to share on her behalf. So I'm just going to share my screen so that we have some fun visuals to look at as we do this. All right. Well, first of all, welcome everyone to today's program. Oh, hold on. Just a second. There we go. Zoom is. And I just wanted to start, because we have folks from NMWA here, which we're so excited about, with just the special announcement related to the Women to Watch 2027 program, which will be coming up. And that is that the theme has been announced, and Women to Watch 2027 is called A Book Arts Evolution. And the theme will specifically be about book arts. You might be asking, what are book arts? Many of you know, and I know that you do, but book arts are a group of art forms that range from traditional craft skills to new methods of art making inspired by the form and the functions of books. So book arts can be traditional books, but book arts can also be much, much more. And we're so lucky to have a long tradition of book arts here in the San Francisco Bay Area. We have organizations like San Francisco Center for the Book and the Letterform Archive and Arian Press, and I could go on. So this is a really rich theme, particularly for our region. So we are planning as an advocacy group to participate in the 2027 program, and we will be sharing more details, but that process will kick off pretty soon this year. And the goal would be to select 3 to 5 artists who would be added to the fold of the artists who we support. I also wanted to make sure to highlight upcoming events. On Wednesday, March 19th, our next event is taking place. It's a tour of Arian Press in Fort Mason Center for Arts in San Francisco. This will happen at 1 p.m. on March 19th, which is a Wednesday. Which is a Wednesday. So I hope many of you can join. This will be sort of the kickoff of our book arts investigations for the year. And then our big event, which I'll be talking about more, but the Reunited exhibition, the preview reception and catalog launch party that's specifically for members and artists will take place on Wednesday, April 2nd from 4 to 5 p.m. So we'll have an hour specifically for members, and then from 5 to 7 p.m. we'll open to a larger group of visitors from the public, and that will be at the CCA Campus Gallery where the New Suns exhibition took place. Also wanted to give a little preview. We've been working really hard on the Reunited publication. That is the companion publication for the exhibition. And this companion publication actually features 12 individual artist booklets, one per artist, that has a commissioned essay in it by a local woman curator. So this catalog features 12 women artists, 12 women writers. It was created by a design team of 5 women, and our whole production team were women as well. So this is a really exciting thing that we'll have available on April 2nd. And we'll have more details soon on how you can get your copy of this exciting publication. But this is just a little preview image of the covers of what one of the books looks like. I'm going to stop sharing now, and welcome to those who just joined. And now I would like to introduce our speaker. So our group's mission, as we know, is to empower women in the arts. And to connect to the National Museum of Women in the Arts. And that was something that members had mentioned, that they wanted to feel more of a connection to our home institution. So I'm really excited today to introduce our distinguished guest. Let me let a few people in. Our distinguished guest we have here, Elizabeth Ajunwa. And Elizabeth is a DC-based art librarian and memory worker. She currently serves as the director of the Betty Boyd Dettre Library and Research Center at the National Museum of Women in the Arts. And as library director, she oversees a collection of over 25,000 books and archival resources, including zines and artist books. And Elizabeth's journey in the library field began in the public library system, where she gained invaluable hands-on experience at the Prince George's County Memorial Library System. And her current work includes advocating for the care and diverse representation of Black, Indigenous, and people of color artists in libraries and archives. So please join me in welcoming Elizabeth.
Hello, everyone. It's really, really a pleasure to speak with you all today. I've created a slideshow and some things that I'll highlight for you all, and I hope you enjoy the presentation. So let me get set up here. And please let me know if you if you can see what I'm sharing. Can everyone see that?
There you go. It looks great, Elizabeth.
Wonderful. So I've titled my presentation today, Unshelving Stories, Reinvigorating the Library and Research Center. And I will do an overview of just ways we basically what I do and how we engage with the Library Research Center at the National Museum of Women in the Arts. We lovingly call it the LRC, so that's the the acronym that you see there. Then I will talk a bit about book arts at NMWA, what that looks like, what those collections look like, and then what we're doing with book arts going forward, some of the exhibitions we've had, and what we have to look forward to. So that's what I'll go over today. So every presentation I've done about the library, I always start with this image. And I don't know who's been to the museum here and who hasn't, but when we had the renovation, one of the major changes was how the library space looked. And this image is an older image. I think this is 90s, early 2000s image of what the library looked like before. It was a pretty nice space, took up a lot more of the fourth floor where the library is located than it does now. And so this is what it looked like. And in the renovation time, it has been really transformed into something, I think, more updated. So this is what the Library and Research Center looks like now, or at least a part of it. So one of the issues of the previous library space was that there was a wide open space and we could house books, but as Jamie mentioned, we have a collection of resources, and the number always kind of goes back and forth between 25,000 and my team, we kind of sometimes use 35 to 40,000 resources and materials that we have in the collection. For instance, we have 17,000 artist files. So, and that's not even seen in this image here. So there's a lot of materials we're working with. And so because of that, there wasn't a lot of great housing space for it. And so one of the things that has been done is that there's this reading room that's dedicated to our traditional codex looking monograph books. And it's a cozy space for the public to be able to interact with this space. So the library is open right now, Tuesday through Friday, and anyone from the public can come and visit the library. If you've bought a ticket to the museum, you're able to come in and browse and engage with the library. But also, if you're a researcher or you just tell us that you're wanting to come and study in the library, we allow people to come in for free. So there's free access to the museum, even if um, uh, you're not purchasing a ticket to come into the museum. It's an honor system. We ask that people, if they're doing that, they just come to the library. And surprisingly, people are really, they follow it. We have had no issues so far. So that's what our library and research center looks like right now. And like I was saying earlier, we have been trying to do creative ways of engaging the space. I come from public libraries, so I bring a little bit of a different sentiment to the typical art library. Um, I've we found ways to activate the space, ways to do programming, ways to engage the public, so people don't feel that the library is a place that they don't have access to or they can't engage with, or that there's some barrier there. The design of the space was intended for that, and I've really worked to try to make that happen. So some of the images you see here are just us with books, but on our opening day, we had typewriter poets come in, and so they would make poetry on the spot for people who came into the library. At the bottom, you see there's this panel that we had, and that was actually a panel of artists who had been featured in an exhibition that I will talk about a little later. So we are really trying to make the Library and Research Center as much as possible integrated with the museum as a whole, and showing people that art history is important to know, women in art history is important to know about, and the preservation of and care of these histories are important. So that's a little about the library. Just I want to touch base a little bit about some of the programming we've done. I collaborate with my colleagues, and our programming team does this wonderful event called NMWA Nights. It's like our after hours social that the museum does, where people come and drink and listen to music and explore the galleries in a more dynamic way, and brings in a younger crowd. And so, February of last year, we did this with the Black Art Library. They were able to bring in their books, and we were really able to just really highlight a different aspect of museums that I don't think people really think about. And it was a good way to promote that we have a library, because a lot of people didn't know that we had a library. Um, so I also wanted to highlight just a little bit of some of the really incredible things we've done with our archive. One of our marquee collections is that we do have a selection of Frida Kahlo's letters. A good majority of them were letters that were written to her, but we also have letters that she wrote herself. And our museum has really done some really great work in digitizing these collections, making them accessible online. And I love highlighting this, because one of my first projects that came through my email was the producers of the Frida Kahlo documentary that came out, reaching to us to use our archival material as research for this documentary. So if you've seen the Frida documentary that is on Amazon Prime, we had a hand in helping with getting them the research for this documentary. And I just think that's a cool thing. And again, a way that the National Museum of Women in the Arts is not only focusing on DC, not only focusing on the nation's capital, but finding ways to advocate for history of women in the arts, not only in the country, but throughout the world and in media. So I just wanted to highlight that. Um, the next thing I wanted to dive into is diving into book arts at NMWA. So the Library and Research Center has a collection of books. We have archival materials, but we have rare books, and then we have this really interesting collection of what is under the umbrella of what is called book arts. So, under the umbrella of book arts, there's graphic novels, there's zines, and then there's what we're really, really looking to highlight, and we're known for having a really robust collection of, which is artist books. And artist books are works of art that are inspired by the book form, so they can look like a book or they can look like something completely different. Um, I have some images of different graphic novels that we have and zines that we have in our collection, but I do want to highlight that I shouldn't have any favorite artist books, but I think this is probably one of my favorites. This is by this one on the end here. I don't know if you can see my cursor, is by the artist Colette Fu. This work is called Dye Food, and Colette is a pop-up artist. She does incredible work, and we have quite a few of her artist books in our collection, and she was featured in one of the exhibitions that we did recently. And so I just love showing her work because I just think it's just such a great example of this medium and the really, really amazing things you can do with it. Um, yeah. So going forward, thinking about the collection of book arts and really wanting to be, really wanting NMWA to be a leader in the world of book arts, because it is. We're very much known for our book arts collection. We're one of the largest arts collections, and we're one of the largest of women artists collections. So I've spent the past 2 years going to book arts shows and book arts fairs, and everyone talks about NMWA, and they're really wanting to know where NMWA is in the world of book arts. So this is really a great opportunity for the book arts exhibitions that we're doing, not only Women to Watch, but some of the ones that we've already had, like Holding Ground. And I don't know if anyone got to see this exhibition, but Holding Ground was up for a year, and we had 9 artists who were commissioned to make works for the exhibition to celebrate the reopening of the museum. And all of these artists made these really varied and exciting works. And we really got to not only show off these artist books, but show off how we've really revamped the museum space. The 4th floor is now a learning commons and exhibition space. It's not just the library. And in the past, it was the library and office space, so people didn't even think they were supposed to come up there. Now it's this reinvigorated space where we were able to have, and we are able to have, exhibitions of a variety of artists, as well as a rotating exhibitions of artist books. Uh, the artists that we have featured here, Ajunwa Burroughs, Julie Chen, who was a very well-known book artist. We had Suzanne Coley, who created this beautiful handmade a book that she created where all these flowers are handmade. I would always make the joke, she didn't go to Marshall's or Michael's to buy these flowers. She handmade these flowers that you see here on this book, and these other really fantastic uh, uh, artistic elements that these different artists bring to their work. I could talk about artist books all day, but this was a really great exhibition, and just wanted to make sure that I highlight that and use this as an example of things to come for book arts, for what we have in mind for Women to Watch, and what we have in mind going on into the future of NMWA hopefully being a leader in book arts and artist books. Um, and so looking forward, we are having 2 things that I'm extremely excited about. We have a traveling exhibition, which is called A Radical Alteration Women's Studio Workshop as a sustainable model for art making. Uh, the museum has worked pretty closely with Women's Studio Workshop over the years because they started as an art collective and has grown into a studio where women artists can go and learn the different skills and techniques of making artist books. And so in this exhibition, we will be featuring, I think, 28 artist books that will have featured in that exhibition. And we're really excited because some of the works will be coming from Women's Studio Workshop, but we're also going to be able to highlight works that we have in our collection that just so happen to already be in this exhibition that they planned. So I'm very excited about that. And something that's book arts related, but a little different, is we also have a collection of special edition works and limited edition works. Amanda Manami has been so amazing in supporting the library so far. And she was really instrumental in making a connection with Arion Press, who we were wanting to get connected with, because they have these amazing limited edition reworkings of classic novels that artists get to reinterpret and reimagine. And so one of the more recent books that they've created is an reinterpretation of the work Kindred uh, by Octavia Butler, and Alison Sarr, the amazing Alison Sarr, has done a reinterpretation of this. So we'll be having in June a talk with her and just really expanding how people view art publication, artist books, and book arts. And again, hoping that NMWA is a leader in that conversation. So that's what we have to look forward to. And then, of course, 2027's Women to Watch exhibition with the medium of book art. So wanted to highlight that. And if you don't mind, I did want to give you, because that's my presentation, but if you don't mind, I would love to share with you just a sneak peek of our recent, um, I don't know if you can see this. Oh, I'm so sorry. Can you see this?
Yes, we can see it. It's
Okay.
cut off, the right side of it's cut off a little bit, but we see, there you go. Now we see it full screen.
Okay, you see it full. Okay, wonderful. So this is our recent NMWA spring magazine that just came out. It features Uncanny, but it also has a highlight of an article with the curator of this exhibition. Her name is Maimuna Farhat, and it's really cool. And I just wanted to show you so you can see some of the sneak peek images of what you will see in the exhibition. They were founded in the 80s, around a similar time as NMWA was founded. So it's that era of artistry and artist books that we'll see. So I'm really excited about it, and I suggest checking out the magazine and reading the article and the wonderful things that we're doing. So yeah, I hope this was a informative presentation, and that everyone comes, enjoys the exhibition that we have coming up.
Thank you, Elizabeth, so much. I'm wondering, can you share that issue, like link one more time? I think if you go back, I think there's a group photo when you click through quickly of our group in there. And since we're together, I thought it might be fun for everyone to get a preview of that before their magazine arrives at their home, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I did not ask for permission on if I was supposed to share that, so but I will do that. I'm gonna try to find that exact.
Yeah, it was just a few pages before the one you were showing us.
Okay.
I saw it.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen and you can highlight it for me. Okay, I see it. I got it.
You see it? It's like has a blue painted background.
See that? Ooh.
There we go. So there's a preview. I haven't seen the article yet, but I believe it, it's about the San Francisco advocacy for NMWA. And I think it also mentions our upcoming Reunited exhibition that members have contributed to. So there's a fun preview that everyone who's on this call, gets of that article. So thank you, Elizabeth, for sharing. And I do also want to make sure we introduce Grace DeWitt, who's on the call right now. Eileen Gutman, who we worked with for years and years, has retired, and Grace is now going to be taking over as our main point person for the Women to Watch program. So we're really happy to have Grace here with us today as well.
Thank you so much, Jamie. And thank you for this, spectacular introduction to Women to Watch 2027. I will kind of pass the mic and take this opportunity to also introduce Jill Stern, who's on the call, who has kind of taken over Eileen Gutman's portfolio when it comes to committee work. And I know that she's been in exchanges with Carol and Lorna so far, but since she's also here in the call, I'll share the limelight a little bit, but we're so happy to be here.
And I will just say a quick hello and thank you. I am, as you know, very disappointed that my April travel schedule is not allowing me to be out there for the Reunited show. I am working to see if I can make something happen. But it looks so exciting, and I cannot wait to get out to San Francisco and meet with all of you in person and hear about all of the great work that you've been doing. I've been delighted to be able to read about it in that sneak preview of the magazine. So I know that you are doing wonderful advocacy work, and I'm very excited to get out there and spend some time with you in person.
Thank you, Jill. And I just put in there, the Reunited exhibition is open through May 17th, 2025. So we welcome anyone from the museum at any time that you want to come out during that period for sure. So thank you, Grace, and thank you, Jill. And I do want to now kind of draw us back to Elizabeth and that amazing presentation. Thank you for sharing so much about the library and the collection and everything. And I really just want to open it up so that there's time for members to ask questions. I have questions, but I want to open up the floor if anyone wants to just unmute and ask a question for Elizabeth. We can just start a group conversation. Carol. Oh, I think it stayed muted. Sorry. Try again.
Hi, I just have a question. It's probably to you and Grace, but my understanding is that some of the artists that we might be considering have been very successful in other areas of their careers. And the object of Women to Watch in the past has been to highlight women underrepresented artists. How will we make the distinction between someone who's been very successful but in another area of their life, not books per se?
Elizabeth, I want to give you first
I
response.
want to hear what you're going to say, because we actually had this discussion of is the goal to highlight underrepresented, emerging? What does that look like? My perspective right now is that book arts is already an underrepresented medium in many ways. And that's kind of my philosophy there. But Grace, I'd love for you to add in if there's any additional thoughts.
Sure, I think I'm thinking of it from a different angle, but my instinct is that this is an advocacy measure for artists at the end of the day, as opposed to for objects. And I would think that if an artist really has a lot of momentum, a huge following for, say, a two-dimensional medium or sculpture or painting, perhaps she doesn't have as much to gain from participating in this project as someone who does not have a huge following. And so the lens is book arts and artist books, but I would think of it rather as an opportunity to take an artist that could really have a lot to gain, who is also producing artist books, or perhaps does have book arts as her main medium, and to run with that, if that helps.
Great. Thank you, Grace. Does someone else have a question? Well, I'll jump in and then there'll be more time. But Elizabeth, I'm curious just to even learn more about the collection that you're housing at NMWA. And I'm curious, I guess, from one side, like, what would you say is the most commonly requested item or set of items when people are doing research in the library? I know you mentioned the Frida Kahlo papers, for example, but I'm also curious, what do you think is sort of the unknown jewel or something that you wish people would request to see or work with more from your collection?
You know, I don't really actually have a good answer of what the most requested collection is, because it's not really a specific collection. It's a type of thing that people request a lot, and people request access to the artist archives a lot, and they request exhibition catalogs a lot, because we have some rare exhibition catalogs that, when they were made, they were just supposed to be thrown away, and then we have them so people can see basically things that no one ever gets to see. So I think our artist files are probably some of the more fascinating, because they're very loosely processed. So it's almost like a mystery box. You never know what you're going to get. And yeah, I find that fascinating. I don't know if that's really answering your question, but we've just gotten some really amazing questions and information out of people doing research in our artist files. I think different times of year we kind of get similar questions. Or if there's an artist that has been rediscovered, we'll start to get a bunch of like questions about that artist. Like last year, or was it last year during when I think the Met had the Harlem Renaissance show, there was a lot of questions about Harlem Renaissance artists, and we have an artist file by Louis Malou Jones, who was a teacher at Howard University. We were just getting a lot of questions for her, and one of actually a researcher from Howard University came and looked at her artist file and said, there's a photo of her in here that I've never seen before. And so I don't know, I just find that so fascinating. And I think that's really cool that we can provide that to researchers from all over the world that come to visit here.
Great, thank you. I see Marissa there.
Marissa, thank you. You just sent me a message of a documentary that I know about and haven't watched yet. So thank you for reminding me.
I think you'll love it. It's very moving and relevant. So my question is, I'm wondering, do you have any special programming for young people for schools?
Yes, we get a lot of high school and college age students, but one thing we did with the Holding Ground exhibition, I worked with the education team to have a regular tour slot that people could request to have tours specifically of the exhibition. And yeah, we've had mostly college students, mostly college classes. We actually just had a college class visit last week. And during the date for the opening of Radical Alteration, we have George Mason University. They have a book arts class that they're kind of like our running consistent. We've made it a thing. We made it a thing, and they come and visit, and we're looking to other schools and reaching out to them to have them come by. But yeah, we do programming, and we haven't had as much of the younger kids come. We've had some high school and middle school, but mostly college.
Thank you.
Other questions out there? I see Tara, or I don't know, Yvonne.
Just to piggyback off of tours and college visits, one thing I do want to highlight is the scope of the researcher visits we get. So people can specifically go on our website and request a researcher visit. So they sign up, and within 2 to 3 days, we reach back out to them and schedule them. We typically, on average, get anywhere from, on a slow time, 1 researcher a week. When it's a little bit more busy, we can get 2 to 3 researchers a week. And we've had a wide variety. We've had researchers. Our very first researcher was on a research visit from Germany and visiting multiple locations. And I always like to talk about her because she said we were one of her favorite visits. So I take a lot of pride in that, being in a place where there's National Gallery of Art and Smithsonian and all these places. And most recently, we had a PhD student who is French and came to do research on Rose Bonheur. We were able to work with the curatorial team, and she was able to actually see in a work that we had in our art storage. So we were able to bring that out for her, but also we were able to pull from our resources and our archival materials so she could look more about that artist. So I just want to highlight that because I think what the researchers are doing is really, really interesting.
That's such a great resource. Thanks for sharing about that. Well, Elizabeth, maybe what is your hope? I mean, I know you've said that you feel like book arts in general is underrepresented represented. So I'm curious just internally, the discussions at the museum and like, what are your, in your perfect world scenario, how would highlighting book arts in the Women to Watch 2027 program, as well as the accompanying exhibition that you're working on, like, how would that impact the field in your perfect world?
I think my goal is to maybe, I've been using this word reinvigorate a lot, but I just think re-energize the collection that we have, re-energize the commitment to collecting artist books and highlighting that as a legitimate medium in the arts world. And and just realizing that there's a lot of artists that I think I connect to artist books as someone who is I say a memory worker and information worker, and someone who sees artists using artist books as a way to provide access and accessibility, and to not be so sometimes I think art can feel really detached from people and disconnected. And a lot of book artists, they are interdisciplinary artists. They work in a bunch of different mediums, and it's been a way for them to get their art out there in a way that people can really access and engage with. So I think that's like my ultimate goal, is to kind of expand the reach of art and book arts. And I think that medium lets you do that.
That's great. Thank you. And I don't know, this question might be more for Grace or for Jill, but do you want to talk? I'm sure our members are curious, like, how many committees are there now? I know it's continually a growing number, and about how many do you think might participate in the Women to Watch 2027 program?
Well, I think this can be a two-part answer, because I've been rapidly learning about all of our committees, and whether on Zoom or in person, getting to visit with as many as I can. So there are currently 28 committees that are reasonably active, that have signaled ongoing programming and interest in upcoming Women to Watch. We have just begun talks about adding a committee in South Korea. Our international partners are active in Chile, in the UK, in Ireland, in Japan. Don't know if I'm missing, I think I'm just listing off the ones I've spoken to. And so we have a couple of committees that are in sort of revival, reinvigoration stages themselves. There have been some changes in committee leadership, so that's exciting to have some new ideas and new enthusiasm coming in, and a big demand for best practices. So you may hear established committees may be hearing from me in the future as I start to work to gather some shared resources for everyone. And as for participation in Women to Watch 2027, I'm going to toss that to Grace, because I know we do have some formal commitments already set.
That's correct. I think it's been really fun to see the enthusiasm for this theme. And I think as different regions kind of come to understand how idiosyncratic really artist books can be, and how it can expand not only in as formally an interpretation of the book as an object, but also as the experience of readership, or kind of, the absorption of information as we kind of understand it through books. We have had a handful of early commitments from committees. We're giving until April 1st to get all of those signed agreements in. So we'll have a better sense of who's in the game then. But I think it's safe to say that this will be a feast for the eyes, and it kind of is a contemporary experimentation around artist books, and a little bit of a call for innovative interpretation. So I know that doesn't quite answer your question quantitatively, but I think in a few weeks we're really going to see how a zoomed out look at what this show can be.
Great. Thank you for sharing. Well, are there any last questions before we wrap up this event? I don't see any. And we did-
Again for letting me speak. I I was a little nervous, so I feel like I had a warm welcome from all of you. So thank you so much.
Yeah, please join me in thanking Elizabeth Ajunwa for being here today and sharing so much about the LRC. And hopefully we can all be out at NMWA one of these days and visit her there and see it. And I know Amanda Manami wanted to be here today, but wasn't possible. But Amanda's been a real supporter of the LRC and shares a lot about it with the group. So it was really special to be able to connect with you, Elizabeth, and learn more.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's been really lovely. The library and the new heads of Women to Watch, so to speak, has just been a really good meeting. Quite nice.
Oh, thank you, Tara.
Yeah.
That's so great. Well, thank you for everyone who was able to join us today. I'll send out minutes and the link to this recording to members. So if you see a member who wasn't here today, make sure to let them know that they should watch it because there's a lot of great content here. And then please mark your calendars for March 19th for the Aryan Press Tour. And then April 2nd for the opening event for the Reunited exhibition that runs from April 2nd through May 17th. So those are our next two big events that are coming up. So thank you. Thank you, Grace and Jill as well for making the time to be here today. And we will see everyone soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you.